Today, let's find out what success means. This is the interesting project. I'm joined by
Pleasure to meet you. My name's called Hugh Wilson.
Hugh. So this episode is about success.
Yep.
Right. I want to introduce that topic. Like, can we agree on that? There's kind of two meanings of success. One being the universal definition, you'll find it in the dictionary,
Cool.
and then the second meaning, I feel like everyone has their own kind of twist to it.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I agree that yes, there's probably a literal definition in the sense that there's an objective definition, something that we would all consider to be a successful person, someone who's achieved something perhaps. But then I guess there is that subjective sort of feeling as to have I been successful? Am I happy with what I have done with my life? Have I achieved what I needed to do? Which other people may not consider to be success, but for me it completes what I wanted to do. So yeah, I agree.
So kind of like everyone's got their own measure of success.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then do you feel like you're successful?
I'm happy with what I've done. I have a long way to go. I wouldn't consider that myself to be successful because for me, I try not to focus upon the outcome. I try to focus upon the process. So yes, I have achieved some things that I'm happy with, but I've got a long way to go. So I'd say partially successful, partially work in progress.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part,
Yep.
right? The process. If you can't enjoy the process, then
Yep.
it's going to be a struggle to get to the end.
Exactly.
Well, what's your end goal? What are you trying to get to?
Probably just being a person who's very happy with who I am. So a person who I consider myself to be an authentic, genuine version of myself, an authentic, genuine person for other people, someone who's compassionate, someone who can be fully present in my life. That would probably be what I would consider to be successful, is living a full and complete and present life.
Why don't you think you're at that stage right now?
Because I don't think you really ever reach that stage. I think it is a journey which doesn't really have an end in sight. You're always working towards that sort of success, which in itself is a successful end product because you're on the path and you sort of work your way along it anyway. So yeah, that's why I don't consider myself to be there.
If you don't think there's an end goal, or if you don't think you can get there, then you do realize that by your unit of measure, you won't be successful.
But I think it's cyclical because I'm already successful because I'm doing something which is improving myself. So there may not be an end goal, but just doing the goal or working towards something which I don't know what it is, I consider that to be success. So having the right mentality, being resilient, embracing being present, that's all I need to do. Whether I become what I need to become, I'm not sure, but I'm just happy where I am at the moment.
Yeah, okay. And with who you're trying to become, right? You talked about you got to love the process to get there.
Yep.
So what's your process?
It's kind of interesting. So it's multifaceted. So I guess like in simplest terms, trying to be open to communication. So like when you walked up to me today, you gave me an offer to say, would you like to do something? I was like, this is an opportunity for me to meet someone I've never met before, to really connect with someone I've never talked to before. This could be something where I could really learn something, I could get to know him, it'd be awesome. So I think being open to experience, open and curious about experience is a really big thing. Another aspect to it is obviously you've got the clinical side of it, so you're working yourself through, doing Sudokus, you do your own little puzzles, I do meditation, neurofeedback, but in terms of just everyday living, just being open to experience and being present as much as possible is something which I try to do.
You feel like you've had successes up to this point, but you're still chasing further successes.
Yes.
What kind of successes have you had till now?
I'd say probably my greatest success was my decision to leave being a lawyer and go into computer science and mathematics. It was a terrifying decision, but it was a decision that I considered to be a success because it put me in a position to be incredibly uncomfortable, and it made me face what I wanted to do in life as opposed to what I thought other people wanted me to do in life. So another success I would consider to be, say for instance, when I was faced with a very difficult decision during my service in the RFS where I was injured, and that caused me to change a lot just at the beginning of COVID, and that forced me to also reevaluate who I am and what I want to do with my life. So they're my probably two main successes.
What's the RFS?
Oh, Rural Fire Service.
Okay.
So during my service, I was hit by a eucalyptus tree on my left arm, and it took me out, and I was in physio for 3 years. So
wow.
yeah, pretty cool. But
Did,
yeah,
so what'd you break?
I didn't break anything. It's actually just caused me massive nerve damage in my left arm. I'm still physio for.
And are you good now?
No. I just dislocated my sternum the other week, so no.
How'd that happen?
Doing weighted dips at a gym, I just felt my ribs crack like Resident Evil.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, this is rad. This is probably how I die. So, yeah, I do some pretty tense.
Did you finish the set? Most important question.
No,
Oh,
I didn't.
God damn.
Hell no. I felt like I was like bisected, and I was like, absolutely not. I'm like, I'm done.
Your decision to move from being a lawyer into computer science
Yep.
maths, you were talking about how people were saying one thing and
Yep.
you're internally but saying something else.
Yep.
So, like, what kind of conversations were
That's
there?
really interesting. So I was raised by 2 lawyers. So I grew up in a legal family. I grew up in a legal community. So it was always expected of me that I would become a lawyer. It was just like not even a choice. And then when I started practicing as a lawyer, I had like this friend say to me like, you know, this is complete crap. You should do the Myers-Briggs test. I'm like, oh, this is crap. I did it. It was crap, but it came up with INTP, and I was like, oh, that's sort of interesting. I'm gonna go read a book on Einstein's biography. So I read it, and I was like, oh my god, like this guy thinks, I think like how this person thinks. So I went and started exploring physics, mathematics, got really curious about it, and then I just thought, I'll come to UNSW, see a couple of talks on it, and I just followed my nose. I thought that it felt more comfortable for me. It felt like there was more certainty around it. I just decided to throw in the towel and just go have a crack at it. Gave myself a year, turned out pretty well, but yeah, I think you just have to sort of take life, not wait for life to come to you. You have to be more assertive with life. If you see an opportunity, go for it, embrace it, take a risk, because like there's a really cool phrase from the SAS, which is the Special Air Service, which is who dares wins. And I try and live by that phrase whenever I can. So take your risk reward ratio into account.
It's a great piece of advice.
It's life. I'm 30 years old.
Oh, right. From what I'm gathering here, you know, being in the Royal Fire Service, being a lawyer, you've probably been in a lot of stressful situations.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
What's the most stressful situation you've been in?
there was one day where we had to go do some property protection for our captain's house because the whole road was on fire and the smoke was so bad because we didn't have oxygen that the next day I woke up feeling like I had a hangover because there was so little oxygen got to my brain during our actual property protection. So that was pretty intense. Another time we were sort of like defending this property and this wall of flames came up like that. I'd say like it sounded like an aeroplane, so we thought we were actually getting water dropped over us, but it was just the fire coming up at 60 km an hour because fire accelerates uphill, and it was insane. It looked like something biblical. So yeah, like we had to like cover. I thought we were going to get run down, so it was pretty freaky because we were cut off. So yeah, like it's very intense experiences, but they're amazing experiences as well, and you learn from them deeply and you don't forget them.
Yeah, I mean, so like in that scenario, what are you sort of thinking in your head?
You're not thinking. Because of my background, I didn't feel any fear, so I was just super present. It was like almost like you're in the Terminator mode. You're just like completely focused, completely present, no thoughts. You're just like ding ding. It's completely robotic. So the fear comes later. I mean, like I go for a run, I smell smoke, I feel like I can't breathe. So like the body keeps score. There's trauma encoded in the body in procedural memory. So there are issues surrounding that, but at the time, no fear, nothing at all.
Yeah, it's just action.
It's just action. That's all it
Yeah,
is.
there you go.
That's all it is.
Well, I want to finish on one point then. Back to success, right?
Yes.
If you could give maybe what's one tip, a quality someone needs to reach their measure of success?
My probably advice would be you need to spend time looking after yourself. A lot of people spend a lot of time looking out for other people, giving themselves selflessly for other people, and they don't spend enough time being selfish and looking after their own selves. I think the most important thing in life is to look after your emotions and your well-being first, and then consider others second. I know that's difficult, but we really need to help ourselves in order to help others.
Beautiful, Hugh. Thanks for
mate.
coming on the project.
Pleasure to meet you, mate.
Chris, welcome to the interesting project. How would you define success?
I would define success as being better as how you were compared to yesterday, you know? Like, with success, I believe, yes, there is a general, like you said, the definition, but I believe, like, everyone's success is measured in different ways.
Yeah.
And honestly, as they say, comparison is the thief of joy. So I believe you should be comparing to yourself if you're better than yesterday. and ultimately if you're better than you were 1 year ago, 5 years ago, whatever, I believe that's success in whatever you do.
So is that how you measure your level of success?
That's how I try to do,
Yeah.
Try to do my best so I'm a little bit better than the day before, you know.
Wouldn't you say with that measure of success, you never reach success?
That's the thing, yeah. You can't ever reach success. Like, no one is perfect. We can strive for perfection, but we can never reach it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really just, like I said, being better than you were yesterday. There is no, you devote yourself to an ideal that you try to reach. Although you will never reach that ideal, you get as close as possible as you can.
What kind of goals do you need to try and hit for you to reach your success?
Yeah. So for me personally, I divide my goals in 3 ways. It's health, wealth, and academics, and also social, I guess.
Yeah.
So health, for example, you can obviously, if you're going to the gym, you can measure. If you're lifting heavier weights and you're comparing yourself to previous photos and you look better, obviously you're improving, right?
Yeah.
With wealth, the same thing. It's very quantifiable. It's if you're making more money, then you're improving. And honestly, the same could be said with your academics. It's very quantifiable again. If you're getting better grades, if you're getting the grades that you want to get, then you're achieving success. And with social relations, a bit harder to quantify, obviously.
Yeah, that's like,
Very
when you said that
subjective.
you, what do you study?
I do engineering.
Engineering,
Mechatronic
right? I can
engineering,
tell
yeah.
how you're a very analytical person. You've got very, this is how it needs to be done in a
Yeah.
process, right? So go on with your social life.
Yeah, with social, it's a bit harder to manage, but I believe, honestly, that it is subjective and it's whatever you deem successful. So if you are happy in the position of where you are in life, with your friends, with your family, your loved ones, whatnot, I believe if you're in a happy place and you feel like you have a good support network, then that's success.
I want to try and get you away from thinking so analytically because it's just very easy to say, oh, if you're getting better. So
Yeah.
I feel like these goals kind of apply to everyone,
Yeah.
right? What's a goal which is more personal to you, right? Or something like maybe like yes, your measure of success is getting better than yesterday, but do you feel like you've got a greater purpose?
Yes, for sure. So right now, well, I think of purpose as, like I said, it has layers. So there's layers to purpose, and right now my current purpose it is like a very long-term thing, but ideally I want to be at the position in my life that I want to build a church for my people. So I'm a Syrian, and at least out here in the East, we don't really have many churches. Like, for example, I go to a church, it's in the what do they call it, the hall of a school. It's not an official church, and we're a dying race. I believe it's only 20 million of us left. And so if I build something like a church here in the East, it will continue the legacy, the Syrian legacy, right? And so that's really like the main goal. It's going to cost a lot of money, time and effort, but that's why, I try to build up everything, so maybe one day, hopefully, I will be able to build a church.
That's an awesome purpose. I haven't heard anything like that. Someone wanting to build something for the community, so that's really cool. You made a point about the dying race. I'm not very educated in this area. Could you tell me more about that?
So yeah, us Assyrians, we've been subject to a lot of genocides because where we reside is the Mesopotamia region, and about so we literally speak Aramaic. It's the language, pretty much what Jesus spoke. It's a very ancient race, but over time, because, like I said, we're in the Mesopotamia region, so the Middle East, we were one of the few Christians in that region, and so we've been subjected to a lot of prejudice from extremist Muslim groups and whatnot.
Okay.
So, for example, we have a big genocide called Seyfo, and Seyfo, it was undertaken by the Ottoman Empire, and they essentially, there's a lot of debate on it if it was an ethnic cleansing or not, but essentially they did target Christians in general. So they targeted us, they targeted the Greeks, Armenians as well in the region, and yeah, pretty much because of that, they've got a lot of us. Like, a lot of us were killed, and we also had to disperse. So they called the Assyrian diaspora. We dispersed east all throughout, even here, America, everywhere. So that's why it's been very hard to have a nation of our own, because we're so dispersed. So honestly, building this church is like the first stepping stone to seeing, build the church, and then honestly, maybe one day with enough people we'll be able to build a proper country again, like a proper nation.
Yeah, you got to start with a community somewhere, right? A building base.
For example, like if I do this, it could be an inspiration for somebody else to help with the cause, right, and build us up.
Yeah, you're definitely doing your part. Well, I want to end on a point then.
Yeah.
When it comes to success, right? What is there maybe a piece of advice, a tip, or a certain quality someone needs to have that you can give, which they require in order to get to their level of success?
I would say resilience is the biggest thing. You know, the whole thing of fall down 7 times, stand up 8. I believe that is definitely it. As long as you have a goal in mind and you keep going towards it, you will fail, obviously.
Yeah.
But as long as you keep going and going, no matter how many times you get down, you just keep getting back up, right? And eventually you will reach your goal. At least I have that mindset. Like, you have to believe everything is possible as long as you fully dedicate yourself to it, you're fully disciplined with it, and you keep going. Like, you don't let things that stop you fall to you, right?
Yeah. That's the second time I've heard that quote.
Really?
And I don't like it because it doesn't make sense. How can you stand up 8 times when you fall down 7?
It's just... Yeah.
From a mathematical guy, I thought maybe I want to be hearing this. What's going on?
Stand up 8 times, yeah. It doesn't make sense mathematically, but the gist of it is pretty much like bouncing back.
The meaning is there.
You bounce back from your failures and you don't give up. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
You just
the
don't
meaning's
give up.
there.
You
There
show
you go.
resolve in
Yeah.
situations.
Awesome, Chris. Thanks for coming on,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you for having
No
me.
worries, man.
Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you, Claudia.
Claudia.
Yeah.
So, well, what's your meaning to success?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's like the way that the world looks at it. Typically in the dictionary, which is probably like, wealthy, like, you have a great job, you have a great family, like you live in a beautiful house, and maybe you live near the beach or whatever that may be. Maybe that's like Sydney's success. But I think for me, so I'm a Christian, and I think that changes the way I like look at the world, and it changes the way I think about things. And so I guess for me, success, like, I think that having a good job and a job you're passionate about, I think that's important, and I think it's important to have to like prioritize your family and the people you love. And I think maybe that's partly what I think the success is that people matter more than anything else. Like, I don't think your job matters that much. I think it matters more how you work and how you care for others and how you love and how you live in the world. So I think success for me, personally, like as like a follower like of Jesus and who he lived his life, is more about like, am I loving and serving God, the creator of this world, in all that I do? And I know that's like probably really different to many answers you've gotten. But
That's what I like about it.
yeah,
Okay.
Interesting project. Yeah, but for me it's about loving and serving God who made me and who made me for a purpose, and that purpose is to love others and to love him first. And that means that it's not just about me, and it's not just about like climbing the corporate ladder, but I think he cares more about in every situation that God has placed me in, whether it's here with you or whether it's in my class at uni or whether like it's at home with my family. It's about loving and serving those around us, because Jesus showed us when he lived in this world how to love and serve others best and first, and realizing that this world is not everything. Like, eventually we'll all die, and you can't take like the money you've collected in this world. It will all fade away. Like, the relationships you have, they're good, but they'll all fade away. And the things that last and that do matter, I think, are not the things that we tend to value in this world. Yeah, so I think that I believe that like after death, there is life, life with God and life in heaven in a perfect world if we trust in him and believe in him. And so I think that, basically that success is, for me, not something I think about too much. I think I'm blessed to be studying like an amazing degree. Like, I do PR and advertising, and the industry I'm in is a lot about like, climbing the ladder and like, working for like really cool agencies and getting better and better and getting lots of brands and getting like getting paid more. But I think I don't care so much about what I'm doing. I just want to do it like with the attitude that I have, like, as a Christian. So that changes a lot about how I think about things. But I also think it impacts how it impacts what I value and what I prioritize. So the things that I prioritize are like people and relationships much more over study and work, and like I could easily work 3 or 4 days a week and do uni, but I choose, because I live out of home, I choose just to work 2 days a week, because that allows me to afford living out of home, and gives me time to do uni, but also gives me time to love my friends and my family and spend intentional time with them. Because even studies have shown that, like 80-year longitudinal studies have shown that the happiest people are those who just spend quality time with the people they love, and where that is their priority. And I think that's seen in the Bible and reflected in how Jesus lived, and how he made time for people, and not just people he loved, but for everyone, because he loved everyone. And I think it's good to make time, for everyone. That was a long answer.
That's all good.
But a bit of a tangent. But
that's all right. I do agree on the point. Maybe not exactly what I found out to be is that maybe not people are happiest when they're giving time to people they love. I found it to be that when they're sort of giving back to community, or just being selfless like that, I found that that's when people are happiest in their periods of lives. Your measure of success is loving God and people and relationships. It's a bit of a complex answer, right? You can't quantify that. So sort of how do you measure that level to say, yes, I'm reaching that, it's a success?
That's a good question. I think my measure of success is not how well I'm serving others or how well I'm serving God, but Christianity and the Bible says that Jesus has done everything for you. He died on the cross to take away your sins so that you can live in heaven with him and have eternal life. So everything's been done for. And so if the God of this world died for you, sent his son to die for you, and rose again so that you can have eternal life with him, because I do believe that this world, at the end, there is heaven and there is hell, and we'll either end up in one or the other depending on how we choose to respond to the God of the world, who's creator. And so I think just knowing what Jesus has done makes me just in response to that, just makes me want to love others. And so Jesus doesn't care about how well I love others or how well I do in my degree. God doesn't care about that. He cares about our hearts, and I think that's the beautiful thing. My worth is not found in my achievements, and my worth is not found in how beautiful I am, how smart I am, how successful, or how many friends I have, but it's found in the God and the maker of this world, who said, I love you because I made you, and I love everyone in this world, every single person, and all I want is for a relationship with you. And so I don't think about success much. I just think that there's a God who made me and who loves me, and I just want to live for him, and that's where I'm most fulfilled, and that's where I feel most successful and most satisfied, and I think that's what we're made for. Ultimately, this I think we all have a bit of a longing for finding a satisfied life and for finding fullness, and I think we strive after things that don't lead to happiness. We strive after jobs and careers and money and relationships. You're not going to find everything you're looking for in a romantic relationship, and you're not going to find everything you're looking for in your dream job. But I think that hole that we all have, that can be found in having a relationship with the God who made us. So it's probably not your straightforward answer, but that's truly what I believe. What's found in the Bible.
What I got from that is there isn't a quantifiable answer. It's, as long as you're in the process, that's what you're considering success. You mentioned you're studying PR media?
Yeah, PR advertising.
Sorry. What got you into that? Why did you go with that?
That's a good question. I was doing business and arts beforehand, but I didn't really like the maths in it. But what I loved about PR and advertising is that it's creative, and I've always enjoyed being creative in what I do, and I just I love designing things and creating things, and I like the idea of being you get to showcase a brand for what it is, and you get to showcase a product and be creative about it and advertise it. And I'm hoping to work for brands in the future that have a bit more purpose and are a bit less about just making money, but a bit more about how can we care for the environment, or how can we care and serve other people around us, or just products that have a bit more purpose in them. So I'm keen to work for brands like that, but mainly just because it's a creative outlet and I enjoy running events and things like that.
Yeah, I think everyone needs some creative outlet at least.
Yeah,
I want to finish it off on one point. So back to success. What's maybe an piece of advice or a tip that you can give, or maybe a certain quality that someone needs in order to achieve their end goal of success?
Yeah, that's a good question. The first thing that came to my mind was I guess live intentionally. I find journaling really helpful to figure out what am I doing, what do I want in life, and how am I getting there, and then just so that the decisions you make get you in the direction you want to get, without focusing too much on life will start when I get this job, or life will start when I'm living in this city, but knowing that life is here, and life is now, and the present moment is a gift, and to enjoy, I think this is also advice for myself, because I like to plan for the future and ahead, but knowing that today you have the opportunity to be the best version of yourself in the meeting you're in, or in this job interview, to get more experience, even if it won't lead anywhere. You never know what doors will open. Just being open to things and choosing to be the person you want to be in every moment that's given to you, because that's a gift. Yeah, and then hopefully people will see that you're living intentionally and genuinely, and then that will lead you to jobs that will be good for you and your career and your success in that
So
way.
be present.
Yeah.
Awesome, Claudia. Thanks for coming on.
Nice.
Your name, sorry?
Osama.
Osama. What's your definition to success?
My definition to success is that if you're able to firstly do what you do, enjoy what you do, and fulfill your personal goals, I think to me that's success. And that depends, the success as a definition varies to a lot of people. Some people look for financial freedom as a success.
Yeah.
That's their key metric. To others, doing what they love. But to me, I'm sitting in between, honestly.
What's your metric?
So, well, to me, I don't have a definition of success as in I have one for short term and one for long term, and that is because I understand that as a uni student I don't have enough time. I have a lot of energy, but so I'm using that to my main sport, which is taekwondo. I'm a professional taekwondo athlete.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So usually what my parents would want me to do, and that's their vision of success, is study hard, work hard, do, let's say, side projects. Their main vision is let's say, get your internship, start working while studying, and then you can get your money, you can get married, etc., etc. I could do that, but then when I grow up, I will regret that, because I'm a very athletic guy.
Yeah.
I grew up with a very athletic family. My dad was a kickboxer. He played for the Jordanian national team. And I feel like, to me, my definition of success right now is to be a high-performing student and at the same time a professional athlete. So I'm trying to balance both of them right now.
If you had to pick one route to go down, what do you think?
Right now it would be going with sports,
Yeah.
but the main issue there, it's not sustainable, especially taekwondo as a sport, because a lot of number one, they don't get paid, at least in Australia.
Yeah.
We're very self-funded, so I have to work overnight or long hours to fund my journey. You retire at the age of 26, 27, so very early. So you don't get paid very early, and the career pathways right after being an athlete is very narrow. It could be just starting a gym, but then taekwondo is small in Australia. So only because of that, I would choose my professional career as a choice. This is why I said, to me, success is being a high-performing student, but not going above and beyond, while doing what I like during that, during the uni journey.
But you said if you go down that path, you said you'd regret it.
No, if I don't train competitively, or if I don't compete during this uni time, which I have, where during this time I have a lot of energy, a lot of time. This is where a lot of people are like really enthusiastic. They have a lot of drive. When I'm like 40, 50 years old, I would regret not doing these. The only guys that are funded in Taekwondo are the top performing countries. So you're talking about Korea, China, United Kingdom, Jordan, coming up pretty soon, like lately, but the rest aren't funded. So all of them are actually doing full-time, either working or studying alongside their training. The main issue, or the main thing that we're lacking as Australian athletes, is that we don't have the funding. So we have to actually get out of our way and work to fund our journeys.
Okay, well, let's go back to success,
Yeah.
right? You said your short-term goals for success are being a high-performing student,
High-performing student.
and also doing your taekwondo.
That's correct.
Yeah. What's your long-term goals?
Long term, I really haven't thought this through, mainly because I'm really too focused on what I'm doing right now. But in the long term, I see myself having a startup, or my own company, or a set of startup companies. I mainly want to specialize in nanotechnology solutions, so providing solutions to factories and industry using, it's a consultancy company basically. That's my long-term vision. Say mechatronics consultancy.
Okay, so that's your long-term goal, right?
Right.
But what's the purpose behind that drives it?
Well, number one, I am really into robotics.
Yeah.
So I'm a robotics nerd, I would say.
Do you know where physics lawn is?
Physics law?
Yeah, physics lawn.
Over there.
This one?
Yeah. So behind that building,
One
you'll
past
find a field. That's the physics law.
I don't go to this uni, so I don't know.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Ah.
I got UTS.
Oh, okay. Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah.
But every other uni is on break right now.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
the only one that's on. So
I see. Yeah. So back to the topic. I'm very into robotics.
Yep.
So if it wasn't for my taekwondo, I would do mechatronics and comp sci. So that is something that I chose to do. It's not something I was forced to get into.
Yeah.
So once I finish my competitive career, I would then do the consultancy. And the reason behind that is being in a consultancy firm is very dynamic. You get a lot of clients, they have their own requests, they have their own set of functional requirements, and this way you aren't doing the same thing every day. You're very dynamic, you have a diversity of projects, you're trying to think outside the box, you have different niches from different industries, and that's something that I like. I don't like doing certain set of things every time. I like to.
Okay. Well, so your end goal being starting your consulting firm,
Correct.
right? Hypothetically, what if you don't get there?
What if I don't get there?
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep trying. As in like I reach to a point where I don't see that there is a future to that.
Not a future, but like, on your journey to there, right? You get to you're near the end and you're like, it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, like I won't be able to get there.
Well, that's fine. We'll start something else.
Mhm.
We'll start something else.
In the same.
Probably not. I mean, look, the tech industry is changing rapidly, and with the pace we're going right now, we don't know what's coming up next.
Yeah.
So there might have been something that hooked me up, and I realized that down the line this isn't actually feasible long term, and then I would shift.
I guess with that question, what I'm actually trying to get at is like, okay, you didn't reach success, right? You failed. Like, how do you handle that failure? I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
Try again. Again, I come from a martial arts background, so if you fail, you do it again. You keep doing it. You keep doing until you succeed. And that having a martial arts or
All right. Okay. Well.
Yeah.
Okay. My counter to that, right? Like at the very end, right? You're on
What do
your,
you mean at the very
you're
end?
On,
So,
you're
like-
on your deathbed, right? And you're looking back at
to
your life
that
now,
extent.
and you're looking
Oh,
back at
that's
your life
deep.
now, and like, shit, I didn't reach my level of success that I wanted.
Yeah, well,
How do you handle that?
at that point you just have to accept it. Because if you don't, and you keep holding it for the rest of your life, you're just gonna live with guilt and, self-hatred. Well, there will be a patch where you hate yourself for not, succeeding, or you'll start to question why that didn't work, what are the reasons for failure. But then, the best way to go around it is accept it and move on, because otherwise it's gonna hold you back from doing whatever you want to do next.
I think, you need to see the success as the journey.
Yeah, correct.
And that's how you would move on.
Correct.
Competing right now?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, what kind of competition?
I just came back from Oceania President's Cup and Australian Opens.
So what kind of level is that?
International.
Right.
International.
Do you
So-
hope to fight in the Olympics one day?
I did have that ambition, but
Yeah.
unfortunately I have I have a very bad injury that's preventing me currently from achieving that dream. So I started Taekwondo when I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
For a bit of context, I started off with the Jordanian national team actually, and I lived in Dubai. So, back in school, I used to skip school to travel around and compete. I reached to a point where there was the Youth Olympic qualifications in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and I fully dislocated my hip
How
during that process. So we were in a training camp in China, and their training was really rigorous. And usually when you split, it's like a 180, right? They were trying to overextend, and I was trying to, I was making it clear that I'm hurt.
Yeah.
I know how pain feels like when you're doing the splits, but that was abnormal. It was like, stop. They didn't. And halfway during a competition, as I was throwing my leg, I got kicked, and the left leg just disconnected. It was a full tear. All the ligaments got torn out. That was like at the age of 13.
Yeah.
Got sent off to the hospital. Really complicated surgery. I was out for 4.5 years in intense physio. So that means learning how to walk again, leg coordination, stability, walking again, lifting again. So it was a very rigorous. So it circles back down to the point where a lot of doctors actually said won't be able to compete again.
Right.
And that sunk hard, really hard. So when I hit 18 and I felt like I was alright, I can do it again, I started going in again.
Okay, so when the doctors say you won't be able to play the sport again, right? What's going through your head mentally?
What's going through my head? I started when I was 4 years old, so I've been breathing that sport.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I couldn't. So I was thinking of ways to look. The first step to me was learn how to walk. That was detrimental. That was insane. So
Like how are you just handling that? Like what kind of mindset do you have there? How did you get through this period?
I think what was going on in my head is I need to do something. I need to be active. I'm a very active person. Like sitting down doing nothing, or let's say watching TV, isn't the life that I ask for or that I aspire to have. So I think my main drive was to be active again, only because I cannot stand sitting down and doing nothing. Even if it's like watching TV or watching a TV show, I just can't see myself doing it. So, so what was going in my head is I want to compete, I want to fight, I want to do sport in any way. Alright, how to do it? First, fix this. How do we fix this? Physio, strengthen it, learn how to stabilize with it, coordinate with it, walk. So have the basic motor skills first, lay them out, lay the foundations right, and then we'll see what's the next step. Alright, I've laid them out. Can I lift weights? Because sports need a lot of strength to a certain extent. Went to the gym, started lifting slowly. I consulted a professional to make sure I don't get injured again. And then I reached to a point where like, okay, I feel like I might be able to, and yeah, here we are.
So you.
But then it's this stubborn mentality where like, you know, there is no way, I have to do it. It's not like accepted reality yet.
So you had that belief
No,
from
yeah,
the
I had the
soon as
belief.
I said. Yeah, that definitely probably comes from just being in martial arts background from such a young age.
Yeah.
You know, that just builds that discipline.
Yeah,
Um,
it builds the grit as well.
yeah.
Like you just face adversity with a smile. Honestly, yeah.
Yeah,
just keep
definitely.
going, yeah.
And yeah, that definitely goes back to the point of the journey, right? Like if you can't face adversity,
What's the point of life?
you're gonna struggle to get to your goal.
What's the point of life if there is no adversity?
What kind of advice, or can you give a tip to anyone that is trying to reach whatever their goal of success is? Like, what do they need?
Well, usually people would go with the cliche statement of believe in yourself,
Yeah.
don't give up.
Don't give me that shit.
Well, it's actually true. That's an issue. That's an
Okay.
issue. But I'll try to think of something that could, you know, go through their heads
Mm,
and actually resonate with them.
yeah.
Besides that,
is there maybe something?
well, step number one is find a purpose.
Yeah.
Find a purpose. So, if you have something you like to do and you see yourself doing it, good. That's a good start. But then if you don't, try stuff out. Try everything. Try everything until you find the right thing. Especially at this age. What I like to do is I don't compare myself to the guys. I compare myself to the guys that are better than me. I consistently compare myself to the guys that are better than me. The guys that are worse than me, I just, you know, keep in mind that I'm, you know, that they're there,
Mhm.
but they're the level I don't want to go to. So I always look up to the guys above me. Even, you know, that's just been my mentality. When I see them, I observe clearly how, you know, what their lifestyle is, how they work, how they develop as human beings. Make sure that I surround myself with these people so I can learn from them. I would much rather be the dumbest person in the group than to be the smartest person. Type of mentality. Because then I'm learning from everyone. But when I'm the smartest person, or when I'm the person that I'm being looked up to, I'm not looking up to anybody. So there's no personal growth for me.
Yeah, I read this in the book, Ego is the Enemy. I think this is the right concept.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm not getting it wrong, but it's you want someone that's better than you, like in whatever field it is,
Whatever
right?
field
To
it
get
is.
better,
Yeah.
you want someone that's better than you to learn off. You want someone that's equal to you to like challenge you,
Yes.
and you want someone that's worse than you to maybe like pass on your teachings.
That
right?
is-
That also is a learning
That is
there.
perfectly phrased, yes.
Yeah, so definitely.
But
yeah.
then most of my mentality, to me, let's say 80% goes to the person that's better than me, because I'm trying to understand how and why they're better at me. And that doesn't come down to only one aspect, so let's say professionally or athletically. I do it to all aspects of my life.
Yeah.
So I just try to be the best person I am, and yeah.
There you go. So find your purpose. Find your why.
purpose, and then surround yourselves with the right people. And, you know, you will find great people. You just need to look for them. Get involved in communities, clubs. You will find them.
Yeah, there you go, Osama. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you so much.
That was great.
It was a pleasure.
I'm joined by
Anjelika Lyson.
Anjelika. How would you define success?
I think finally figuring out your purpose in this world.
Okay. Do you feel like you're successful?
No,
Still figuring out your purpose?
yeah, I'm really young. You know how people say like you're supposed to know what you're gonna do with your life when you're like 18?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, and you charter your course to okay, I'm gonna be this person, and by the time that you're like finished being that person or you've achieved it, basically it's like, oh my god, this isn't what am I doing, you know? Yeah.
Do you feel like you're getting close to finding your purpose?
I feel like I'm close to having enough time to figure that out. That makes sense. Like,
Elaborate.
so much of my life since I was 18 has been hustling, and now like I have more more time for myself to like reflect on, okay, this isn't what I wanted, or what do I actually want? Like, what do I want to be leaving the world, basically? Yeah.
You mentioned true happiness,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What makes true happiness?
I feel being at peace, like comfortable, and what's the other word? Like contented, content with your life. I forgot to. And yeah, just like not being so lost all the time, just centered. That you have people who support you, and you know, in that peace that you have within yourself, that everything will be all right. I feel like that's, like you have a more sense of where you are and where you're going and how to get there.
Yeah, I feel like just contentness really wrapped that up really well. Well, I want to talk about your journey towards success, right? Like, what kind of processes are you taking?
Am I taking? Like right now, the definition, the more orthodox tradition of successful is like on paper it looks good. Like that's my life sort of right now. Like you didn't know this, but today I did my driving test and I passed.
Okay, great.
And I'm 23 years old and I just passed my driving test. So and I have a job lined up in the field in which I got my degree in. I have great friends, I guess, and I immigrated here. So when I was 18, I finished high school in the Philippines, and then I immigrated here, and it's been 5 years since, and I paid for most of my international fees, which is insane because it's an insane amount of money. COVID happened as well during that, and like I feel like time like sort of goes by quickly if you're like hustling and you're doing everything and just like surviving. So now I'm awake after 5 years and I'm like, wait a minute. And then, so now what I'm doing is I'm less working than I used to be. I work so much. I'm journaling a lot, hanging out with friends that I haven't seen. And I used to like making art, and I'm doing that more. And I'm taking care of myself, like health-wise, and yeah, figuring out like how to sleep early as well without alcohol. It's magnesium is the answer.
Oh, okay.
So that, and like taking a breather, and finally like reflecting on what has happened, and yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Do you feel like all these steps are helping you find your purpose?
Yeah, because now I'm very burnt out, and now like I'm trying to like avoid bad habits in order to like cope with the fact that I'm burnt out, and I'm finally like admitting to myself that it's me who's in charge of my life and not other people.
And you were burnt out because you were grinding so hard for those 5 years.
Dude, I was working 3 jobs while I was at uni, and I had an internship, and to also have like a social life as well.
Why
Don't
were
say this,
you...
but I dated a lot of guys at the same time.
Okay.
Which was a lot. I had 5 units in my last semester.
Why were you grinding so hard, you think?
Oh man, I'm an immigrant. My family doesn't have money to help me, and like I don't know how to ask for help. Main thing, don't know how to ask for help. Like I think my brain just thinks like, oh, they're not capable of helping me in any sort of way, so I end up not asking at all. That's why I'm burnt out, because like, oh, I can do this by myself. Push myself too hard. I was like,
So the reason was for family? That was the main reason?
Yeah, my family fell into a lot of debt, mostly because my mom died when I was 6, and hospital bills piled up, and we were paying that off as I was like growing up and going to high school. I think I did like, because I'm the youngest of 5, I did like a scholarship in my high school, so I didn't have to pay for anything. And then they very casually mentioned like, oh, why don't you go to Australia because your brother is here and he's also doing stuff. And then I ended up not leaving when I came here for vacation because they were like, oh, why don't you just stay here?
Yep.
Do you know that I packed like 7 kilograms of everything that I owned? Just 7 kilograms. Shoes and everything. And I came here in April and it was winter and all I had was summer clothes because I thought like, it's April, it's gonna be summer. And I'm like, dumb bitch. Yeah, so part of that was literally my family wasn't financially stable enough to support college back home. And they're like, okay, send you here and then you can like earn that money. Your brother will help you a little bit, but basically you're on your own. And I'm like, okay. Initially, I was supposed to be a nurse, but I wanted to be an architect. And then the lady at the immigration was like, why don't I just become like a civil engineer? And I became a civil engineer. I have my credentials, so don't know jack shit, but I'm an engineer.
There you go.
Yeah.
When did you graduate?
2022.
Okay, so you did experience the online learning.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. I feel like everyone that went through that.
Do you know like that my practicals was so shit? It's like a video of some like professor and he was like, okay, this is how you do it. I wasn't there. Sucks, yeah.
I feel like everyone that went through their degree with that.
Yeah.
So that period you didn't learn shit.
I had friends in like the first semester and I still became like close friends with them throughout the whole year. So that was nice for me. I feel so bad for the people who started like first year like online. Literally, how can you make friends?
That was me.
Oh no!
That was
Did you experience the like group session, the rooms, and then nobody was turning their cameras on or nobody was speaking?
Yeah. I was in person for 1 week, and then they're like, "Oh, guys, we're gonna go online for just a bit, just to try it out."
Just
and they're
2
like,
weeks.
and that was it. It's over. So,
oh man, that sucks.
I made like a couple friends in that first week, and then it's like we just had to stick together because
Dude,
that's all you had.
stick together.
Right.
Group works are rough if it's online. You know how many Discord groups that I've done and WhatsApp groups I've had where people would reply to nothing. Shout out to whoever handle Mango Man or something. He's a real hero. He's the only one who like replied to me.
Mango Man.
Yeah, his handle was Mango Man.
Okay.
But
Shout out
he's
to Mango Man.
He's a real You know what's up, man.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's end it on the final point. Do you have a piece of advice that you could give to anyone in the pursuit of success?
This is gonna sound controversial. If you grew up here, like a citizen, I don't really recommend going to uni. Not that uni's bad, it's just we haven't really figured it out. It's not perfected. I feel that once you go out into the field, right, and you're looking at these like requirements and stuff, yeah, they do require a degree and all that, but now it's less and less, and they're looking more at like concrete skills, concrete, experience. I feel like once you graduate high school, get into a class, but not uni, and find your passion and how you want to work in the end. Like, passion and work are different. Like, sometimes your passion and the work is shit. Like people in the entertainment industry, they're passionate about it, but the work conditions are and like, talk to people who are in the jobs right now. Ask them what are the pros and cons. I feel like nobody knows what the job title actually like entails. Like, when people say engineer, like, do you actually know what they do? Like,
No.
bobs and boops and math. And yeah, sometimes it is true, but sometimes it's not. And we need to have more education of how jobs are actually. Like, there's so many other jobs out there that aren't as advertised to you when you're young. Not unless you have family members in the field. But like me, my family didn't have like a lot of engineers in them. Like, I didn't know jack shit. Like, I just thought like, oh, I'm gonna be like rich. Like, no, you're gonna get taxed. You're gonna get taxed a lot. Anyway, that like figuring out what they need in the industry, like requirements and stuff. Sometimes they don't need degrees, and yeah, don't jump into anything just because it sounds good. Yeah.
So you were saying, get out there
Take a gap
and
year.
get experience.
Take a gap year. Find out what you actually like. Don't be like don't be like me. Yeah.
Oh, there you go,
I was like-
Anjelika. Thanks for coming on the project. Good advice.
Hold hands.
Time to head home.